Hi everyone, I'm Amy and I'm here with Alicia, Hugh, Natalie, Paul and Sam to read aloud a few excerpts from the Discworld books. When planning this, the committee made the mistake of giving me free rein in choosing which excerpts to read aloud, and since I couldn't make up my mind about which books to select from, I figured why not all of them? So here we go, 41 snippets in 41-ish minutes. Number 1. The Colour of Magic. Number 1.
Bugger off. You're brav. You're brav the Hublander, aren't you? Just go away, will you? I haven't got time for you, do you understand? That goes for your shadow-loving fleabag partner too, wherever he's hiding.
Why, it's Rincewind the Wizard, isn't it? I thought I recognized the voice.
He's pretty big for a gutter wizard.
You don't understand at all. I'm so scared of you, my spine has turned to jelly. It's just that I'm suffering from an overdose of terror right now. I mean, when I've got over that, then I'll have time to be decently frightened of you.
Weasel pointed towards the burning city.
You've been through that?
I was there when it started. See him back there?
He pointed back down the road to where his travelling companion was still approaching, having adopted a method of riding that involved falling out of the saddle every few seconds.
Well?
He started it.
Fire Razor, is he?
Well, no, not precisely. Let's just say that if complete and utter chaos was lightning, then he'd be the sort to stand on a hilltop in a thunderstorm, wearing wet copper armor and shouting, "All gods are bastards!" Got any food?
Number 2, the Light Fantastic. Twoflower and Rincewind were arguing. The person they were arguing about sat on his mushroom and watched them with interest. He looked like someone who smelled like someone who'd lived in a mushroom, and that bothered Twoflower.
Oh, why hasn't he got a red hat?
What?
He should have a red hat, and he certainly ought to be cleaner and more sort of jolly. He doesn't look like any sort of gnome to me.
What are you going on about?
Look at that beard. I've seen better beards on a piece of cheese.
Look, he's 6 inches high and lives in a mushroom. Of course he's a bloody gnome.
We've only got his word for it.
Excuse me. Listen, if he was 15 feet tall and said he was a giant, we'd only have his word for that too, wouldn't we?
He could be a goblin.
Rincewind looked back at the tiny figure, which was industriously picking its nose.
Well, so what? Goblin, gnome, pixie, so what?
Not a pixie. Pixies, they wear sort of green combinations and they have pointy caps and little knobbly antenna thingies sticking out of their heads. I've seen pictures.
Where?
I think it was called the
what? Called the what?
The Little Folks Book of Flower Fairies.
It's a book on how to avoid them?
Oh no, it tells you where to look for them. I can remember the pictures now. There was even a special fairy that came and took away your teeth.
What, came and actually pulled out your teeth?
No, you're wrong. I mean, after they'd fallen out, what you did was you put your tooth under the pillow and then the fairy came and took it away and left a rhino piece.
Why?
Why what?
Why did it collect teeth?
It just did.
Rincewind formed a mental picture of some strange entity living in a castle made of teeth. It was the kind of mental picture you tried to forget, unsuccessfully. Number 3, equal rights.
Right, now bees is real magic. Your bees is your mead, your wax, your bee gum and your honey. Wonderful thing is your bee. Ruled by a queen too.
Don't they sting you?
Hardly ever. You wanted magic? Watch.
She put her hand into the struggling mass of insects and made a shrill, faint piping noise at the back of her throat. There was a movement in the mass, and a large bee, longer and fatter than the others, crawled onto her hand. A few workers followed it, stroking it and generally ministering to it.
How did you do that?
Ah, wouldn't you like to know?
Yes, I would. That's why I asked Granny.
Do you think I used magic?
No, I think you just know a lot about bees.
Exactly correct. That's one form of magic, of course.
What? Just knowing things?
Knowing things that other people don't know.
Number 4, Mort.
It's about that cook's job up at the university. You told me it was a good position and it's a disgrace up there. The tricks them students play, and I want you to. I'm not here. You're not Keeble, are you?
Death stared at her. He'd never before experienced an unsatisfied customer. He was at a loss. Finally, he gave up.
Begone, you black and midnight hag.
Ooh, who are you calling a midnight hag? Look at this. Last night it was my bed warmer. In the morning it's a fish. I ask you.
May all the demons of hell rend your living spirit if you don't get out of this shop this minute.
I don't know about that, but what about my bed warmer? It's no replace for a respectable woman up there. They tried to do this.
If you would care to go away, I will give you some money.
How much?
Death pulled out his coin bag and tipped the heap of verdegreed and darkened coins on the counter. She regarded them with deep suspicion.
Now leave upon the instant, before the searing winds of infinity scorch thy worthless carcass.
My husband will be told about this.
Number 5, Sorcery.
Quick, you must come with me. You are in great danger.
Why?
Because I will kill you if you don't.
Number 6, Weird Sisters.
It's still miles to go.
I mean to do it. There's plenty of night left.
Not enough, I'm thinking.
A witch don't know the meaning of the word failure, Geetha.
They shot up into the clear air again. The horizon was a line of golden light as the slow dawn of the disk sped across the land, bulldozing the suburbs of the night.
Esme,
What?
it means lack of success.
I was speaking, what's name? Figuratively.
Ah, well, you should have said.
Number 7, Pyramids.
Ooh, would you look at the colour of this? You wouldn't think so, would you? Is it something they eat, Master?
Just put it in the pot, Gurn.
Right you are, Master. Master?
Yes, lad.
Which bit's got the god in it, Master?
That gets sorted out before he comes down here.
I wondered because there's not a jar for it, see?
No, there wouldn't be. It'd have to be a rather strange jar, Gurn.
Oh. So he's just ordinary then, is he?
In a strictly organic sense.
Our mum said he was all right as a king. What do you think?
I suppose he was better than most. Nice pair of lungs, clean kidneys, good big sinuses, which is what I always look for in a king. Pleasure to work with, really.
Our mum said his heart was in the right place.
The king, hovering dismally in the corner, gave a gloomy nod.
Yes, jar 3, top shelf.
Number 8, Guards.
What is the meaning of this?
Well, it's a dragon, innit?
Yeah.
What about it?
Well, Spinburn and the city. They don't fly far. You got dragons here. Could have been one of them, couldn't it?
Yeah,
Right.
QED.
Some rioters can be quite well educated.
Right. So what we're going to do is we're going to put them down.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
Pro bono publico.
One step nearer, and I warn you, and you'll be sorry.
Yeah? And what'll you do then, eh?
I shall summon the watch.
Yeah, well, that's too bad. That's really worrying, you know that? Makes me go all weak at the knees, that does. Now, you just stand aside, lady, because we're
A
gonna...
streak of green fire blasted out the back of the shed, passed a foot over the heads of the mob, and burned a charred rosette in the woodwork over the door.
This is Lord Mountjoy Quickfang Winterforth the Fourth, the hottest dragon in the city. It could burn your head clean off.
A small and extremely frightened golden dragon was clamped firmly under one arm. His other hand held it by the tail.
Now, I know what you're thinking. You're wondering, after all this excitement, has it got any flame left? And you know, I ain't so sure myself. And you've got to ask yourself is, am I feeling lucky? Well, are you feeling lucky?
Number 9, Eric.
Come on, let's run away.
Where to?
Rincewind sighed. He'd tried to make his basic philosophy clear time and again, and people never got the message.
Don't you worry about two. In my experience, that's always takes cares of itself. The important word is away.
Number 10, moving pictures.
What are you doing here?
Ginger,
Yes?
it's nice up here in the evenings, don't you think?
That's that horrible dog that's been hanging around the studio, isn't it? I can't stand small dogs.
Bark, bark.
Ginger stared at him. Victor could almost read her thoughts.
He said bark, bark. And he's a dog. That's the kind of noise a dog makes, isn't it? I'm a cat person myself.
Oh, yeah? Yeah? Wash in your own spit, do you?
What was that?
But don't look at me. I didn't say it.
Oh, I suppose it was the dog, was it?
Oh, me? Woof.
Number 11, Reaper Man.
We only go along to the club to keep Reg happy. Doreen said it'd break his heart if we stopped. You know the worst bit?
Go on.
Sometimes he brings a guitar along and makes us sing songs like The Streets of Ankh-Morpork and We Shall Overcome. It's terrible.
Can't sing, eh?
Sing? Never mind sing. Have you ever seen a zombie try to play the guitar? It's helping him find his fingers afterwards that's so embarrassing. By the way, Sister Droll is a ghoul. If she offers you any of the meat patties, don't accept.
Oh dear. You mean she makes them out of human flesh?
What? Oh, no, she just can't cook very well. And Brother Oxalite is probably the only banshee in the world with a speech impediment. So instead of sitting on roof and screaming when people are about to die, he just writes them a note and slips it under the door.
Number 12, Witches Abroad.
How long have we been flying anyway?
About 10 minutes since you last asked, Esme.
You see? Boring.
It's sitting on the sticks I don't like. I reckon there ought to be a special broomstick for going long distances, right? One you could stretch out on and have a snooze.
They all considered this.
And have your meals on. Proper meals, I mean, with gravy, not just sandwiches and stuff.
I suppose you could do it if you had a really big broomstick. About the size of a tree, perhaps. Then one of us could do the steering and another one could do the cooking.
It'd never happen. The reason being the dwarfs would make you pay a fortune for a stick that big.
Yes, but what you could do is get people to pay to give them rides. There must be a lot of people who are fed up with highwaymen and being seasick and that sort of thing.
How about it, Esme? I'll do the steering and Magrat'll do the cooking.
And what shall I do then?
Oh, well, there ought to be someone to, welcome people onto the stick and give them their meals, and then tell them what to do if the magic fails, for example.
If the magic fails, everyone will crash into the ground and die.
Yeah, but someone will have to tell them how to do that. They won't know how to, not being experienced in flying. And we could call ourselves 3 Witches Airborne. How about it?
Broomsticks Airborne or Pan Air.
There's no need to bring religion into it.
We could call it
Number 13, Small Gods.
How did you get in here, little creature? Did you fly? I could give you some lettuce, but I don't think tortoises are allowed in the gardens. Aren't you vermin? There's grapes. Probably it's not sinful to give you one grape. How would you like a grape, little tortoise?
How would you like to be an abomination in the nethermost pit of chaos?
14, Lords and Ladies.
Halt! Who goes there?
It's me, Sean, your mum.
Oh, hello, Mum. Hello, Mistress Weatherwax.
Let us in. There's a good boy.
Friend or foe?
What?
It's what I've got to say, Mum. It's official. And then you've got to say friend.
I'm your mum.
Oh, you've got to do it properly, Mum. Otherwise, what's the point?
It's going to be foe in a minute, my lad.
Oh, Mum.
Oh, all right. Friend, then.
Well, yeah, but you could just be saying that.
Let us in right now, Sean Og.
Sean saluted, slightly stunning himself with the butt of his spear.
Right you are, Mistress Weatherwax.
His round, honest face disappeared from view. After a minute or two, they heard the creaking of the portcullis.
How did you do that?
Simple. He knows you wouldn't make his daft head explode.
Well, I know you wouldn't too.
No, you don't. You just know I ain't done it up till now.
15. Men-at-arms.
Oh, and this is the famous commemorative arch celebrating the Battle of Crumhorn. We won it, I think. It's got over 90 statues of famous soldiers. It's something of a landmark.
Should have put up a statue to the accountants.
Said a doggy voice behind Angua.
First battle in the universe where the enemy were persuaded to sell their weapons.
Where is it then?
Ah, yes. That's the problem. Excuse me, Mr. Scant. This is Mr. Scant, official keeper of the monuments. According to ancient tradition, his pay is $1 a year and a new vest every Hogswatch Day.
Afternoon, Mr. Carrot. You'll be wanting to see the triumphal arch, will you?
Yes, please. Unfortunately, the actual practical design was turned over to bloody stupid Johnson.
Where is it?
Just there, behind that little bit of cotton wool.
Oh,
I'm afraid that for Mr. Johnson, accurate measurements was something that happened to other people.
16. Soul music.
That's recent runes, ain't it?
He had a knife in each hand. He also had the salt, pepper, and mustard pots in front of him, and the cake stand, and a couple of tureen covers, all of which he was hitting vigorously with the knives.
What's he doing that for? And Dean, will you stop tapping your feet?
Well, it's catchy.
It's catching.
The lecturer in recent runes was frowning in concentration. Forks jangled across the woodwork. A spoon caught a glancing blow, pinwheeled through the air, and hit the bursar on the ear.
But what the hells does he think he's doing?
That really hurt.
He just broke the cruet.
It's gonna smart for hours.
Ah, yes, he's hot as mustard.
I'd take that with a pinch of salt.
Now, someone's about to say something like, I hope the watch don't catch up with him, aren't you? Or, that's a bit of sauce. Or, I bet you're all trying to think of something silly to say about pepper. I'd just like to know what's the difference between this faculty and a bunch of pea-brained idiots. It was not a rhetorical question.
17. Interesting times.
What are these old fools you fought before us?
I think they're barbarian invaders.
How did he know that? We're wearing itchy trousers and eating with forks and everything.
Heroic eunuchs? Old men?
Who are you calling a eunuch?
Can I just show him what I've been practicing with my lump of teak?
The ninja eyed the slab of timber.
You could not make a dent on that, old man.
You watch.
He held out the wood at arm's length. Then he raised his other hand, grunting a little as it got past shoulder height.
You watching this hand? You watching this hand?
I am watching.
Good.
He kicked the man squarely in the groin, and then, as he doubled up, hit him over the head with the teak.
But you should have been watching this foot.
18. Masquerade. The wooden stairs gave way to stone. Perdita said,
He'll have a vast cave somewhere under the opera house. There will be hundreds of candles casting an exciting yet romantic light over the lake. And there will be a dinner table shining with crystal, glass, and silverware. And of course he will have, a huge organ.
Agnes blushed hotly in the darkness.
on which, that is to say, he will play a virtuoso-style many operatic classics.
Agnes said.
It will be damp. There will be rats.
19. Feet of Clay.
Oh, cheers, Fred.
We can put the money back in the tea club tomorrow. No one will miss it. Anyway, this comes under the heading of an emergency.
Well, what am I going to do? If you're a knob, you've got to wear coronets and long robes and that. Got to cost a mint, that sort of stuff. And then there's the stuff you've got to do. It's called noblesse oblige.
Noblesse oblige, yeah. Means you got to keep your end up in society, giving money to charities, being kind to the poor, passing your old clothes to your gardener when there's still some good wear left in them. I know about that. My uncle was butler to old Lady Salachi.
I ain't got a gardener. I ain't got a garden. I ain't got any old clothes except what I'm wearing. Save her old clothes, give to the gardener, did he?
Yeah. We were always a bit puzzled about that gardener. 2 more points of Winkles, Ron. Better make that 2 for Nobby, too.
Oh, cheers, Fred. Oh, it wouldn't be so bad if there was a pot of cash. Thought you couldn't be a knob without being a rich bugger. Thought I gave you a big wad with one hand and bang the crown down on your head with the other. Don't make sense to be a nobby and poor. It's worst of both worlds. Common and rich, yeah. That I could.
What's up with the corporal? He's a half-pint man. That's 8 pints he's had.
Keep it to yourself, Ron, but it's because he's a peer.
Is that a fact? I'll go down and put down some more sawdust then.
20. Hogfather.
I know what's good for a hangover. Drinking heavily the previous night. That was a good word joke.
Most amusing. Raw eggs are said to be good, bad for a hangover, and fresh orange juice.
Batchian coffee.
But this fellow hasn't just got his hangover, no, he's got everyone's hangover.
I've tried it. Just makes me feel suicidal and sick.
A mixture of mustard and horseradish, in cream for preference, with anchovies.
Yogurt.
That sounded almost relevant. Well done. I should leave it at that if I were you, Bertha. My uncle always used to swear at wow sauce.
You mean swear by, surely?
Oh, possibly both. I know he once drank a whole bottle of it as a hangover cure, and it certainly seemed to cure him. He looked very peaceful when they came to lay him out.
Willow bark.
That's a good idea. It's an analgesic.
Really? Well, possibly, although it's probably better to give it to him by mouth. I say, are you feeling yourself, Bertha? You seem somewhat coherent.
Well, will any of that stuff help?
It will probably kill you.
Oh, good.
21. Jingo.
Sergeant!
There was a clang as Detritus saluted.
Were you proposing to shoot these people in cold blood, Sergeant?
No, sir. Just a warning shot in the head, sir.
We're halfway there. 22. The Last Continent.
Good day, mate.
Oh, no. Please.
I just thought I should enter into the spirit of the thing. A very convivial people, aren't they?
You just can't wait, can you?
No worries.
So this is really it then. I was supposed to have saved this country, you know? And I'm going to really die.
Oh, yes. This is certain, I'm afraid.
It's the stupidity of it that gets me. I mean, think of all the times I've nearly died in the past. I could have been flamed by dragons, right? Or eaten by huge things with tentacles, or even had every single particle of my body fly off in a different direction.
You have certainly had an interesting life.
Is it true that your life passes before your eyes, before you die?
Yes.
ghastly thought, really. Oh, gods, I've just had another one. Suppose I am just about to die, and this is my whole life passing in front of my eyes.
I think perhaps you do not understand. People's lives do pass in front of their eyes before they die. The process is called living. Would you like a prawn?
No, thank you. I really don't think so. They can be pretty deadly. And I must say, it's a bit much of you to come here and gloat and eat prawns at me.
I beg your pardon.
Just because I'm being hanged in the morning, I may.
Are you? Then I shall look forward to hearing of how you escaped. I am due to meet a man yes, inside a crocodile. Several hundred miles away, I believe.
What? Then why are you here?
I thought you might like to see a friendly face. And now I think I had better be going. Very pleasant city in many respects. Try to see the Opera House while you are here.
Hang on. I mean, hold on. You told me I was certainly gonna die.
Everyone is. Eventually.
Carpe jugulum.
Get off, you big floppy!
It was a dog, or several dogs, as it were, rolled into one. There were 4 legs, and they were nearly all the same length, although not, Magrat noted, all the same colour. There was 1 head, although the left ear was black and pointed, while the right ear was brown and white and flopped. It was a very enthusiastic animal in the department of slobber.
This is Scraps. He's a silly old thing.
Scraps, yes. Good name. Good name.
He's 78 years old, some of him.
Very neat stitching. He looks very well on it too. Happy as a dog with 2. Oh, I see. He does have 2.
Oh, I had one spare. I thought, he's so happy with 1. Just think of the fun he could have with 2.
Ooh. Don't you even think of saying anything, Geetha Og.
Me.
Yes, and you were. I could see you. You know he was talking about tails, not anything else.
Oh, I thought about that long ago. It's obvious. Saves wear and tear. Plus, you could use one while you're replacing the other. I experimented on myself.
Now, what are we talking about here? Exactly.
Hearts.
Oh, 2 hearts. You've got 2 hearts.
Yes. The other one belonged to poor Mr. Swithers down at the sawmill, but his wife said it was no use to him after the accident, what with him not having a head to go with it.
5th elephant.
Now, what do we have to discuss? I see that the new traffic division is having the desired effect. I am getting any amount of complaints from the Carters and Drovers Guild. Well done. Do pass on my thanks to Sergeant Colon and his team.
I will, sir.
I see that in one day they clamped 17 carts, 10 horses, 18 oxen, and 1 duck.
It was parked illegally, sir.
Indeed. However, a strange pattern seems to emerge.
Sir?
Many of the carters say that they were not in fact parked, but had merely halted while an extremely old and extremely ugly lady crossed the road extremely slowly.
That's their story, sir.
They know she was an old lady by her constant litany on the lines of, "Oh dearie me, my poor old feet," and similar expressions.
Certainly sounds like an old lady to me, sir.
Quite so. What is rather strange is that several of them report seeing the old lady subsequently legging it away along an alley rather fast. I discount this, of course, were it not for the fact that the lady has apparently been seen crossing another street very slowly, some distance away, shortly afterwards. Something of a mystery vibes.
It's one I intend to solve quite quickly, sir.
The truth.
Do you know what they call a sausage in a bun in Quirm?
No.
They call it Les sausage in le bun.
What, in foreign language? You're in kidding.
I am not a kidder, Mr. Tulip.
I mean, they ought to call it a sausage dans la derrière. Oh, that's what this ing thing tastes of.
In a bun, Mr. Tulip.
I know what I meant. This is a ing awful sausage.
Thief of time.
This is just impossible. Did you see that?
See what?
Oh, your death. Right.
Yes. Sorry I am late.
So am I.
Excuse me?
I said, I'm sorry I'm late. Boom, boom.
I beg your pardon.
Sorry I'm late. Like dead.
Oh, I see. It was the boom boom I did not understand.
That was to show it was a joke.
Ah, yes. I can see how that would be necessary. In fact, Mr. Choblang, while you are late, you are also early. Boom, boom.
Pardon?
You have died before your time.
The last hero.
So how come you left the evil Dark Lord business, Harry?
Well, you know how it is these days.
The Horde nodded. They know how it was these days.
People these days, when they're attacking your dark evil tower, the first thing they do is block up your escape tunnel.
No, bastards. You've got to let the Dark Lord escape. Everyone knows that.
That's right. Gotta leave yourself some work for tomorrow.
And it wasn't as if I didn't play fair. I mean, I always left a secret back entrance to my mountain of dread. I employed really stupid people as cell guards.
That's me.
Yes, that's you, right. And I always made sure all my henchmen had the kind of helmet that covered the whole face, so an enterprising hero could disguise himself as one. And those come damn expensive, let me tell you.
Oh, me and evil Harry go way back. I knew him when he was just starting up with his 2 lads and his shed of doom.
And Slasher, the steed of terror.
Yes, but he was a donkey, Harry.
Well, he had a very nasty bite on him, though. He'd take your finger off as soon as look at you.
The amazing Maurice and his educated rodents.
Look, Cat, there's 2 types of people in the world. There are those who have got the plot and those who haven't.
The world hasn't got a plot. Things just happen, one after another.
Only if you think of it like that, there's always a plot. You just have to know where to look. Look, that's the world. There'll be a secret passage, of course. Everyone look for an entrance to a secret passage.
How will we know it's the entrance to a secret passage? What does a secret passage even look like?
It won't look like one, of course.
Oh, well, in that case, I can see dozens of secret passages. Doors, windows, that calendar from the Acme Poison Company, that cupboard over there, that rat hole, that desk.
You're
that...
just being sarcastic.
Actually, I was just being flippant, but I can do sarcastic if you like.
Night Watch.
Oh, look, it's the army. What do you want?
Nothing, sir.
Well, then you can push off.
Can't do that, sir. I'm under orders.
Orders to do what, mister?
There was a sigh and a soft thud behind him.
Be a decoy?
The Wee Free Men.
My name is Miss Tate, and I am a witch. It is a good name for a witch, of course.
Mean blood-sucking parasite.
I'm sorry.
Ticks. Sheep get them. But if you use turpentine...
I meant that it sounds like mystic.
Oh, you mean a pun or a play on words. In that case, it would be even better if you were mystique, a hard foreign wood, because that would sound like mystic. Or you could be mistake, which would...
I can see we're going to get along like a house on fire. There will be no survivors.
Monstrous Regiment.
This is a holy book with an appendix
Oh, exactly, sir.
in a ring binder.
Oh, quite so, sir. People put blank pages in and the abominations turn up.
You mean magically?
I suppose I mean religiously, sir.
Vimes opened a page at random.
Chocolate. He doesn't like chocolate.
Oh, yes, sir, that's an abomination.
Garlic. I don't much like that, so fair enough. Cats.
Oh, yes, he really doesn't like cats, sir.
Dwarfs? It says here, the dwarfish race which worships gold is an abomination unto Nugget. He must be mad. What happened there?
Oh, the dwarfs that were here sealed their minds and vanished, your grace.
I bet they did. They know trouble when they see it. The colour blue.
Correct, sir.
What's abominable about the colour blue? It's just a colour. The sky is blue.
Yes, sir. Devout Nuggenites try not to look at it these days. Well, Nuggan, sir, is rather tetchy.
Tetchy. A tetchy god. What, he complains about the noise their kids make? Objects to loud music after 9 p.m.
We get the Ankh-Morpork Times here, sir, eventually, and I'd say that Nuggan is very much like the kind of people who write to its letter column. You know, sir, the kind who sign their letters disgusted of Ankh-Morpork.
Oh, you mean he really is mad then?
A hat full of sky.
Oh, I see. You're twins.
No, I'm not. This might be a little difficult.
For you to understand, let me see now, you know...
How twins are sometimes said to be able to share thoughts and feelings.
Well, I'm a bit more complicated than that, I suppose, because...
I'm one person with 2 bodies.
I wanted to break this to you...
Gently, because some people get upset by the...
idea and find it creepy or...
just plain...
weird.
Sorry about that last sentence. I only do that when I'm really nervous.
Do you mean that you're both...
There is no both. There's just me. Do you understand? I know it's hard, but I have a right hand and a right left hand and a left right hand and a left hand. It's all me. I can go shopping and stay home at the same time, Tiffany. If it helps, think of me as one...
person with 4 arms and...
4 legs and...
4 eyes and...
2 noses.
That's right.
Going postal.
Ever heard of bloody stupid Johnson? Quite famous in this city.
Didn't he build things? Wasn't there something wrong with them? I mean, I'm sure I read about him.
That's the man, sir. Built all kinds of things, but sad to say there was always some major flaw.
Wasn't he the man who specified quicksand as a building material because he wanted a house finished fast?
That's right, sir. Usually the major flaw was that the designer was bloody stupid Johnson. Flaw, you might say, was a part of the whole thing.
Thud.
We've struck a blow for ugly womanhood. Shoes, men, coffins. Never accept the first one you see.
Oh, shoes. I can talk about shoes. Has anyone seen the new Jan Rockhammer solid copper slingbacks?
We don't go to a metal worker for our footwear, dear. Oh, I think I'm gonna be sick.
Serves you right for drinking so much wine.
I'm perfectly fine with wine. Thank you. What I shouldn't have drunk was sticky drinks with names made up by people with less sense of humor that, well, excuse me. Oh no.
Are you all right?
I've just thrown up a small, hilarious paper umbrella
Oh dear.
and a sparkler.
Wintersmith.
Stop stealing the funeral meats now, you wee skuggers.
The Feagles stopped and stared at her.
Socks without sheets.
There was one of those moments, and you got a lot of them around the Feagles, when the world seemed to have got tangled up, and it was so important to unravel the knot before you can go any further.
What are you talking about?
Skoggers! They're like socks without feet in them for keeping your legs warm, you can.
You mean like leg warmers?
Aye, that would be a very good name for them, it being what they do. In point of fact, Maybe the term you meant to use was thieving skunners, which means...
Horst!
Oh, yes. Thank you. Right, you thieving scunners. How dare you steal Miss Treason's funeral meats?
Oh, welly, welly, it's the folding of the arms, the folding of the arms.
Making money.
Let us talk about angels.
Oh, yes, I know that one. I've heard that one. That's the one you got me with after I was hanged.
Only mostly hanged, I think you'll find, to within an inch of your life.
Whatever, I was hanged, and the worst part of that was finding out I only got 2 paragraphs in the Tanty Bugle. 2 paragraphs. May I say, for a life of ingenious, inventive, and strictly non-violent crime, I could have been an example to youngsters. Page 1 got hogged by the dyslexic alphabet killer, and he only managed A and W.
Unseen academicals.
Thank you for coming here today, Miss Glenda, and I shall not inquire why a young lady who works in the night kitchen is pouring tea up here at nearly noon. Do you have any further advice for us?
Well, since you ask, no, I really shouldn't say.
No, this is hardly the moment for bashfulness, do you think?
Well, it's about your strip, sir. That means your team colours. Nothing wrong with red and yellow. No one else uses those two. Well, you want 2 big U's on the front, like you.
Yes, that is exactly right. After all, it is what we are.
Are you sure? I mean, I know you gentlemen are bachelors and all, but, well, you look like you've got bosoms, honestly.
Oh, God, sir, she's right. It will make a rather unfortunate shape.
What kind of a mind would see something like that in a pair of innocent letters?
I don't know, sir, but every man watching the football has got one. And they would make up nicknames. They love doing that.
I shall wear midnight.
Self-reliance is a witch's best friend.
You can always rely on self-reliance. I've always said so. Do you think you're the only one to have to deal with the cunning man, love? Granny here had to deal with him when she was your age. She sent him back to where he came from in very short order. Trust me on that.
Can you give me any tips, Mistress Weatherwax?
Trust yourself. And don't lose.
Snuff.
Tell me, Willikins, if a man had arranged to meet another man at midnight in a place with a name like Dead Man's Copse on Hangman's Hill, what would you consider to be his most sensible course of action, given that his wife had forbidden him to bring weapons to his country house?
Why, sir, given your maxim that everything is a weapon if you choose to think of it as such, I would advise said man to see whether he has a compatriot, what has, for example, acquired the keys to a cabinet that contains a number of superbly made carving knives, ideal for close fighting. And I personally would include a side order of cheese wire, sir, in conformance with my belief that the only important thing in a fight to the death is that the death should not be yours.
Raising steam.
Good morning, Mr. Lipwig. Rather speedier than last time, yes? I imagine you haven't had time to look at your newspaper today? Something rather droll has happened.
Is it something interesting to do with the railway, perhaps, my lord?
Well, there is something, yes, since you ask. I am being told that everybody is going to Harry King's compound to see the marvel of the steaming train, which seems to have caught the public fancy. I understand that Sir Harry, with his usual business acumen, is already turning this into a commercial enterprise. Of course, that is news, but when you do indeed get hold of a newspaper, you might notice a small apology from the editor of the Times to the effect that the crossword has been removed, as the compiler is stepping down for a while, owing to the pressures of keeping up the standard of achievable games that are nevertheless sufficiently taxing. Of course, as a rule, I do not gloat, but I fear she has met her match. I shall ask Drumknot to arrange for a box of chocolates to be sent to her from a secret admirer. After all, I am generous in victory.
The Shepherd's Crown. And for those of you who haven't read it yet, don't worry, this does not include any spoilers.
Well, could you do me a favour?
Oh, hi, would you like your earwig wifey dropped in a pond or something?
Alas, no. I'm not that kind of person.
Ah, but we is.
And as a bonus from Nanny Ogg's cookbook.
They say that the way to a man's heart is through his stomach, which just goes to show they're as confused about anatomy as they generally are about everything else. Unless they're talking about instructions on how to stab him, in which case it's better to go up and under the rib cage. Anyway, we do not live in a perfect world, and it is foresighted and useful for a young woman to become proficient at those arts, which will keep a weak-willed man from straying. Learning to cook is also useful. Just my little joke. No offense meant.
And we're at the end. Thank you to my cast of thousands, all 5 of you. Thank you to Alicia, who played, amongst others, Magrat, Ginger, Angua, and Tiffany. To Hugh, who played Granny, Death, Nobby, and Carrot. To Natalie, who played Nanny, the Bursar, Mystic, and Sybil. To Paul, who was Ridcully, Colon, Veterinary, and Gaspode. And to Sam, who played Sam, Vimes, Rincewind, Sean, and Moist. Thank you all.
And thank you, Amy.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Amy.
Thank you, Amy.